fooled. We will not be gaslighted. Donald Trump's track record is a disaster for working people. And he's trying to gaslight people all over our country. But we know the facts, and we know the truth. He is an existential threat to America's labor movement.
Clear and powerful moment there from Harris. In this wider home stretch, campaigns tend to run on several tracks. There's the political coverage and the punditry. There are ads from both campaigns that now, a month out, will be blanketing key states. And then there is how campaigns try to reach people directly on the ground. If you study or cover politics, as we do around here, what happens on the ground becomes increasingly important the closer you get to Election Day. And we could tell you, Donald Trump has been struggling to hit any kind of consistent message on the ground at his rallies. They're often meandering, they're dark, they're even drawing criticism from other concerned Republicans. Meanwhile, a theme we're seeing, at least right now, at least in the last couple weeks and on through today, is that Democrats are actually encouraged about how Harris, backed by a team that's drawn from Obama, Biden, and her own advisor circle, is deploying these local appearances to drive key messages, to hammer things that matter in these communities. Now, some might be familiar from the DNC and her playbook, but some are actually, if you listen and follow this closely, they're more locally tailored. They're a little different than what D.C. or national political conversations often focus on. So national news this week, understandably, has looked at the latest Jack Smith filing, at Trump's 2020 coup legal liability, the fate of democracy. If you watch MSNBC, these are important issues we cover. We cover them as a matter of journalism and law. But the politics may be different. The Harris campaign isn't exactly playing that stuff up right now in Michigan. And the voters that Harris needs, many of them, and we have many ways to measure this, are focused on jobs, prices, the economic outlook. And today, she's tying those concerns to Project 2025 and whether workers, she says, will have an ally next year at the Department of Labor. And so pundits might talk less about that building you see on your screen or report less about labor laws or union busting in the national conversation. Democrats think this is still an important and huge political winning issue for them with voters in Michigan.
Everything he intends to do is spelled out in Project 2025. If reelected, he intends to launch a full-on attack on unions and the freedom to organize. He will ban public sector unions, roll back workplace safety protections, and appoint a union buster to run the Department of Labor. And on top of that, Donald Trump will give billionaires and the biggest corporations massive tax cuts like he did last time.
That's the economic policy. Matters to a lot of people. Harris is also continuing on the political side with this widening roster of endorsement. Campaigns are about addition. Harris has drawn support now from that conservative general, Taylor Swift, Liz Cheney, young pop stars. She is adding through those endorsements. Endorsements are fundamentally about showing who supports you so that more people might. And that draws from different demographics and different conversations in a way that, quite frankly, few candidates have done in American politics since probably Obama's first campaign for president. And today we add another. Harris just drawing the endorsement from a Detroit native as she tours Michigan, the NBA legend, Dream Team member, and Hall of Famer, Irving Magic Johnson. A big deal, a nod that combines Midwest star power with the uniting power of sports and Americana.
It's so great to be back home. And what an outstanding cause to elect my friend, Kamala Harris, President of the United States. She's smart, she's strong, she's passionate. Nobody's gonna outwork her. She's committed to you as the people of the United States, the people of Michigan. She's committed to you.
Now, some things are just straightforward. You don't have to be a Michigan politics expert or a basketball expert to know that Magic Johnson puts points on the board in Michigan and many other states as people hear about this. It draws people in. I didn't know Nicole Wallace was going to end her extraordinary broadcast with her sports reference tonight and what we learn from sports and why so many people look to sports, not only for what happens, not only for entertainment, but for inspiration, for leadership, for lessons, why so many kids play sports. So it's not a reach and it's not that complicated when you have big, iconic people from sports and culture and other corners of American life coming together. It helps the campaign, particularly in the home stretch. The people who've already studied the platforms, paid a lot of attention to the candidates, those people have usually made up their mind by October. So Democrats see Harris's campaign on a roll. They're also dialing in another vote of confidence from, in the same cultural theme, an icon who was born in the USA, Bruce Springsteen.
I'm supporting Kamala Harris for president and Tim Walz for vice president and opposing Donald Trump and J.D. Vance. Donald Trump is the most dangerous candidate for president in my lifetime. His disdain for the sanctity of our Constitution, the sanctity of democracy, the sanctity of the rule of law, and the sanctity of the peaceful transfer of power should disqualify him from the office of president ever again.
Same message, different messenger, which may reach people in a different way. The boss has talked about with nowhere to run, ain't nowhere to go. Well, today, Democrats are running to the Midwest, which they view as a way to getting back to the White House. Harris has now drawn this notable group that spans conservative leadership, sports icons, pop stars. You are looking at the kind of faces who draw considerable interest no matter what topic they speak on with their groups, with their fans, followers, and allies. And right now, they're all talking Kamala Harris. The campaign hopes that'll get people listening to her message. Springsteen has played that role for Obama in his campaigns. Obama will make his first speech now on the campaign trail for Harris next week in PA on a swing states tour that the campaign views this tour as a way to draw big crowds, which has been a theme this cycle. Harris has sort of met Trump where he is. Sometimes you live in the petty. And she is baiting him on things that have riled him up, from when Obama mentioned crowd sizes to when she mentioned it at the debate stage. The campaign now posting these videos showing sometimes paltry or half-filled arenas while he talks about his own crowds.
And who else can fill up? Only MAGA. But whoever fills big places like this at 3 o'clock in the afternoon? We're going to be meeting. We're going to think of it. And who else can fill up? Only MAGA.
You can see how that might bother him. Now, in the culture, punchlines only land if most people get the premise. SNL's new episode here, the season premiere, took shots at both parties. There were jokes about Joe Biden's delivery, even how he walks. So they'll go at anyone in both parties. But when they turn to Trump, the joke was something most viewers would have to know about to get. So it's a bad sign for Trump that the comedy writers think this is a nationally understandable punchline, the crowds and his lackluster rallies.
Let's get crazy, sexy, cool, and play some TLC.
Let's see how it's going now with Donald Trump at his rally, which is entering its 3rd hour.
Where are you going? I see you trying to leave, but the doors are locked.
The doors are locked. Now, that line could, in a joking universe, apply to that MAGA rally or how Americans might feel, many of them, in a second Trump term. As we end the week here, the political question is whether this Trump fatigue, which is documented and joked about, could impact turnout. It's a legitimate question where even reporters are asking Trump rally-goers, why are you leaving early? The Washington Post asked several as a long rally basically stretched their plans, and they cited different needs, like they had to go to take care of a pet, see a family member. One attendee said their phone died. Some said sound quality. Most of these sound like excuses rather than what might be the real answer. People with pets, just to take them at their word, know that they left their pet at home when they go out to a Trump rally or wherever they go. And if your phone died while you were listening to a great speech, you might just finish watching, then go back and charge your phone in the car. These references I'm making are to what actual MAGA fans told this reporter were their reasons for leaving early. If there are deeper reasons the MAGA people left that rally where the reporter was and the other ones, maybe they don't want to share them with the media or post them online. But one thing we do know about most of the people going to a Trump rally is They are either Trump fans or Trump curious. They made an effort to go wait and see him. So if they're turning out or have some pause, well, what about all the other less Trumpified Republicans? That's a big question. It's one the Harris campaign actually thinks could be key to victory, that there is an echo between people who are interested enough in Trump to go to a rally, but react to what he actually says now, the Trump of today, not 4 or 8 years ago, that they leave early. A link between that and why top Republicans are breaking with their party to endorse Kamala Harris. My breakdown on this continues. We have a quick break. We'll be back in 90 seconds.
Heather likes things smooth. So when she had a rough time getting a weight loss appointment, she came to us. Through Ro, she connected with a provider online and got a GLP-1 prescription. Now she's on her way to losing 20% of her weight in a year with diet and exercise.
Now that's smooth.
We got you, Heather. See if you qualify at ro.co/TV.
When my hair started to thin, I thought, am I going to have any hair left?
After I gave birth, my hair wasn't even thinning, it was gone.
When I spoke to my dermatologist, he immediately pointed me in the direction of Nutrafol.
It's 100% drug-free and clinically tested.
Within 3 months, my hair was fuller.
It's longer, it's so much thicker.
I had more scalp coverage.
It was so nice to be noticed for my hair after hiding it for so many years.
Start your hair growth journey at Nutrafol.com.
Every election night reveals a story about the candidates, about the campaign that we just watched, but it reveals a story about the voters who decided the election. The presidential election is America's family photo, and we take one every 4 years.
Now, this important theme in the campaign right now, which could tip states towards Harris, is this embrace that I'm telling you about, not only by the independents and conservatives, but lifelong staunch Republicans. What voters saw in Wisconsin and many others watched across the nation is so unusual in American life, you'd actually have to do a double take, especially if this happened just a few years ago. Liz Cheney began the Trump era as a leader of the entire Republican House caucus. She backed Trump in 2020. It's not that long ago, but ended that era fighting the insurrection after he lost 2020. Now she's campaigning with Harris, along with her father, Dick Cheney, as other Republicans who work directly for Trump and his whole agenda are breaking with him to back Kamala Harris. This is big. It could impact the outcome of the election. It is a rarity in our current partisan political era. And so right now, tonight, to see how major this is, consider how these partisan, Republican, staunch, conservative hawks have sounded across the bulk of their entire careers.
We are all a little weary of the Clinton-Gore routine. It is time for them to go.
How much damage do you think President Obama has done?
I think it's been devastating. He's strengthened our enemies.
All of his policies are working. It's just that we're not getting any coverage of it because the media doesn't want. They just don't want people to see his success.
Slate magazine described him as one of 10 conservatives that will